Okay, so we are learning today Halachot of Shavuot, and welcome Jim on YouTube and
Rabbi.
Zoom. And we have a young guy who usually joins us. You never met him, I think, and he just had a baby girl. So he sent Mazal Tov to Adam and Sapira, a baby girl. And we have Nachat from the baby, and we have Smachot.
Sure. Took a while.
Sure, okay, so we're learning today the Halachot of Shavuot. The Halachot of Shavuot, since we are just a few days from Shavuot. And since we were learning beforehand the halachot of davening, so we also have a few halachot regarding davening, which got to do with Shavuot for people who stay up all night. It's not always relevant for here, but it's good to know in any case. Sometimes you stay up all night because other reasons. If you have a flight, and you can't sleep on the flight, what do you do with Birkat HaShachar and other blessings? But let's begin first from the custom. Where does that custom of staying up all night, where does it start from? Where does it start from? And why do we stay up all night? If you calculate, you probably lose someone who's in yeshiva, and he'll be learning during the day in a great way. So he actually loses time in learning if he stays up all night. Because on Erev Chag, he needs to sleep to get prepared for Shavuot, right? And during the day of Shavuot, he needs to sleep, and he sleeps. He learns during the nighttime, and he's already somewhere there, 1, 2, 3. He gets already half asleep, so he can't concentrate as much. So why do we stay up all night on Shavuot, and why do we learn? The Mishnah in Masechet Ta'anit, the last Mishnah in Masechet Ta'anit says, וכן הוא אומר, it's the end of the Mishnah, it says also in Pasuk in Shir HaShirim, צאנה וראינה בנות ציון, במלך שלמה, go out and see the girls of Zion, and the king of Shlomo, בעטרה שיתרה לו אמו, the crown that his mother gave to him, ביום חתונתו וביום שמחת ליבו, in the day of his wedding and the day of his heart being full of joy. So what does the ביום חתונתו mean? And the Gemara has the Mishnah has a drasha on it. ביום חתונתו זו מתן תורה, that's when we got the Torah. או ביום שמחת ליבו זהו בניין בית המקדש שיבנה במהרה בימינו אמן. So ביום חתונתו זו מתן תורה. I used to say some, maybe it's a joke which has some kind of truth in it. Chazal say that when Am Yisrael was standing around Mount Sinai, Hashem took Mount Sinai and put it over them like a big container, and said to them, if you receive the Torah, great. If not, that will be your place, you're buried. So they look up and see this huge mountain or big mountain above them. They don't have any choice. They have to say, well, we agree. We say yes, right? And many meanings, what does it mean? Maybe on Shavuot, perhaps one of the classes you'll have in English or Hebrew will talk about Hashem forcing us to receive the Torah. But you can also see it in a place of maybe some kind of positive. Look at the Chatan and the Kala. What are they standing under? A chuppah. Standing under a chuppah. How can the nation stand under a chuppah? There are too many people. So Hashem takes a mountain and says, here, I made for you a chuppah. Have you ever seen a Chatan or Kala under the chuppah say, I'm sorry, I don't want to get married? You got ready for you've been preparing sometimes for a year, you dated, and if you say no, you're gone, right? You're dead. So I'm not sure if literally dead, but you mean that's your grave, doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to kill you. It means, what's the purpose of you? You've been dating for it, preparing for it. The whole purpose of the nation of going out of Egypt is to receive the Torah. If there's no purpose, so people without any goal in their life are like not dead, but almost dead. They're leaving people without any goals. And each person here has some goal in his life. The goal of the nation is to receive the Torah. So there's a chuppah, and Hashem says, receive the Torah. That's more of a drash. I know that the simple understanding of the Chazal isn't like that, but I think it gives some kind of positive to this drash. The Maharal has a beautiful explanation, but if we have time at the end of the shiur, we'll explain the Maharal. Okay, so we see the Matan Torah, we see receiving the Torah as the day of a wedding. When I was young, which means before I got married, before I even started dating. So a friend of mine who was a few years above me, he was my chavruta, he got married, and I woke up late for shachrit in yeshiva. Instead of going to the 7 minyan shachrit, I go to the 8 o'clock minyan. And he asks me if I can say for him Birkot HaTorah. Birkot HaTorah, Birkot HaShachar, like we'll learn soon. It's 8 o'clock, right? It's already the late minyan. You're supposed to be asking, why did you sleep? He said, I got married. How come you're awake all night? When you get married, you understand. You're married, you're talking to your wife, your new wife. You're happy with each other. You don't think about the time. You don't look, oh, it's already now midnight or 3 o'clock, we have to go to sleep. There's so much love in this moment of getting married that you just learn Torah or in Shavuot, right? It's the day of the marriage of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we learn Torah without thinking, are we going to gain more time by sleeping? Are we going to gain more time by staying up all night? It's the day of the wedding. The clock or the watch is not on your hand. You take it off. You take it off your hand. No meaningful time. We stay up all night. That's a very nice custom. People can't stay up all night. Should learn as much as possible, and also learn on the daytime. We have quite a few shiurim here in shul on the daytime. There's shiurim in English, I think in other shuls, and we're having here 2 shiurim, one for women, one for men, Simchat Chaver program in Hebrew. And this, we didn't advertise it still because just today we are finalizing all of the plans. So, it will be advertised before Shavuot, hopefully. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll just lose my sleep because of. Okay, so that's the minhag of staying up all night. And that brings us many questions. What do we do, people who stay up all night? What do we do about davening? About davening, or specific things about davening, which is washing the hands, some of Birkot HaShachar, and Birkot HaTorah. And so let's start from washing the hands. We probably mentioned it in the past, but it's always good to do a chazara and remember the halachot. We have a few reasons for washing the hands. Why do we need to wash the hands on the morning? One is because maybe people touched covered places when they were sleeping. But if a person is awake, so he makes sure he doesn't, he knows what his hands are doing. When someone is sleeping, he's not sure what his hands are doing. So maybe he touched covered places when he was sleeping. So if a person was awake all night, maybe he doesn't need to wash his hands. We also mentioned this bad spirit on the hands, and also the fact that we renew when the morning comes. Okay, so some of those reasons apply when we sleep, when we are awake all night, and some of the reasons, like touching covered places, don't apply when we are awake all night. So what's the halacha? The Ashkenazi custom is after the shachar, the person goes to the restroom, touches the covered area in his body, and then he needs to wash his hands with the blessings. So usually when we go to the restroom, we just say the blessing of Asher, we wash the hands and say the blessing of Asher Yatzah. And we can wash the hands even just from regular tap without a vessel, a special natla for that. But here, since it's also morning and also it touched covered parts of the body, so you wash the hands with a natla, with that vessel 3 times like we're used to, and Ashkenazim say a bracha on it. Sfaradim will do the same, but just without a blessing. Okay, they'll wash their hands without a bracha. So that's the difference between Ashkenazim and Sfaradim, and that's not just for Shavuot. Whenever you are, for some reason, you are up all night. I'm not sure if it's so common, but the common reason could be someone who has a flight and he just doesn't sleep well on flights. That's for washing the hands. What about the blessings of the Torah, Birkot HaTorah? Birkot HaTorah, we say every day a blessing, right? We say every day a blessing for Birkot HaTorah. And the question is, what causes, there's an argument in the Rishonim, Rabbeinu Tam and other Rishonim, what causes the need to say another blessing every day? Okay, why do we have to say another blessing every day? 2 options. Jews will have always 2 options, right? maybe also that will speak about how come Jews always have two options. Why can just make it simple, make it like, if we have time, it's very much connected to Torah. We'll discuss also that. So, one opinion says the new day requires a new blessing. Okay, so the new day requires a new blessing. That's one opinion. Another opinion says sleeping for at least half an hour requires a new blessing. Okay? And we have the rule of sfek brachot lakel. If there's a question, so we don't say the bracha. Although it's interesting in this case, but if there's a question, we don't say a bracha. So if a person was up all night, he didn't sleep, and according to some of the opinions, the reason we say new Birkat Torah every day is because we slept for at least half an hour, right? So if you didn't sleep, you don't say Birkat Torah. Therefore, if you go to the Vatikin Minyan on Shavuot, you'll see someone who just came, he slept, you can see he's fresh, and everyone, he's the hero. Why is he the hero? Everyone is waiting for him to say Birkat Torah, so he saves the day. But for Birkat Torah, usually you don't need someone to say for you Birkat Torah. Usually. Because usually people who stay up all night, they sleep at least half an hour on Erev Chag, on the day beforehand, right? So here we have, when comes the new day, if they slept on Shavuot this year's Monday, right? Shavuot this year's Monday. On Sunday, they had a shlof, and they slept for 1 hour. Okay, slept for 1 hour, 2 to 3, they got a nap, and they slept for 1 hour. Serious nap. Comes Monday morning, Shavuot day. We ask, did they sleep at least half an hour since the last time they said Birkat Torah? Yes. Did we have a new day since the last time they said Birkat Torah? Yes. So for both opinions, something happened here that requires a new Birkat Torah. So they also say Birkat Torah. According to everyone, they can say Birkat Torah if they slept at least half an hour during the day or during the night of the nighttime. So it turns out that most people will be saying Birkat Torah because usually people sleep at least half an hour when they are asleep. I mean, when they're awake all night. What about Hanoten Lasechvi Bina and Elokai Neshama? So for these two blessings, we need someone else to be Motzi us. So Elokai Neshama, which is a new soul we get. I slept all night. I didn't go to sleep and get a new soul. I was awake all night. And Pokei Achevrim opened my eyes. I didn't open my eyes. Like I was awake all night. So for these two blessings, we should have someone say for us the blessing, and that way we fulfill the mitzvah. Okay, so we still need that hero that he slept all night. Okay, so that's the halachot for people who slept all night. Another question we have, and that's for people who are asleep or people who are awake. Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 Commandments. Do we stand up when we read Aseret HaDibrot or not? Yes. So the custom is to stand up when we say Aseret HaDibrot, right? That's a custom. I think in all the shuls you see people stand up for saying Aseret HaDibrot, and there's even a special trop for that, Ta'am Elyon, which is a bit different than the trop many customs read during the year. There's a different trop. That's a special day we say. That's the day of the anniversary of our marriage of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's a special thing. So we read the Aseret HaDibrot in a special way.
Rambam disagrees with us and say we shouldn't have.
Okay, that's
one,
yeah.
Torah is more important.
So that's a great point. That's a great point. So you're mentioning the Rambam who says you shouldn't stand up for Aseret HaDibrot. Let's start from the Gemara. Okay, we can go a few hundred years even earlier. The Gemara in Brachot says that why Aseret HaDibrot are very important, right? These are the 10 commandments we heard from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. These are the 10 commandments written on the luchot, on the tablets. These are the 10 commandments that are put in the ark, in the holiest place of the Jewish nation, right? So it just makes sense when we say Shema Yisrael every day to add a few more seconds and say Aseret HaDibrot. Why don't we do it? One answer will be, davening is long as is, right? let's cut it short. But that's not the reason Chazal said. And the reason Chazal said is because because if we read the Ten Commandments in reciting Shema, the Minim, groups from the Jewish nation, will say, we don't need to keep 613. We can keep just 10 commandments and that's it. Yeah, and easy commandments. We don't need to now keep lend to people and all sorts of kilayim and shmita. They aren't written in the 10 commandments. So if we give the 10 commandments a very special place, people will think these are the only ones who are important and we don't need to keep the rest of the commandments. Therefore, some say, when we read the 10 commandments, you shouldn't stand up, because if you stand up, what will people say? Now we are getting to the important part. Up to now was just stories and just good things you can do. Okay, but do you need to really do it? Do you need to keep kosher? It doesn't say in the 10 commandments, so it's good things. If you want to do it. See, everyone stands up for the 10 commandments. No one stands up for eating kosher. Obviously, that's more important. So that's why some opinions said that you shouldn't stand up when we say the 10 commandments. There are a few reasons why to stand up. First, it's an argument, and we have an opinion that says it's no problem. Okay, in Mount Sinai, everyone stood up. Reading it once a year won't cause a problem. The Minim, those groups from the Jewish nation, twice a year, okay, 3 times a year, that won't make such a... You can stand up only on Shavuot, don't stand up on the rest of the year. Okay, just on Shavuot, stand up. Everyone knows Shavuot is something special. Okay, another reason could be that, sorry, those minim, those groups, maybe they don't exist so much, they disappeared, right? So those, who says that, so we shouldn't be so concerned about it. Many say you can stand up. Means you can stand up. The very common custom is to call the rabbi for when they read the 10 commandments, and you stand up for the rabbi, and that's the best thing. If they don't call the rabbi, so just stand up at the beginning of the Aliyah, okay? Beginning of the Aliyah, and then you're standing up when the 10 commandments come, but you aren't standing up for the 10 commandments. You're standing up for the whole Aliyah. So that's the best thing to do, and then you're fine with all of the opinions. So he talked a bit about the davening on Shavuot. Another very common custom and question, and maybe you could say teasing between Ashkenazim and Sephardim, is eating milk on Shavuot, right? Have you done shopping in the last week? No? So if you do shopping, I think even here in the Makolit in our neighborhood, you'll see there's big signs for milk and all sorts of fruit cheeses and good prices and buy this cheese. It's become a very common custom, even in Ashkenazim, Sephardim in Israel, probably also out of Israel. Everyone eats cheesecakes on Shavuot, right? And you have the contest of cheesecakes, and cheese cakes are very important on Shavuot, and blinchers and special foods for Shavuot. Where does it come? Where does it come? So there's a halachic reason for it, and then a million of other reasons, but we'll mention the halachic reason, and then we'll ask a question: are you allowed to eat just cheese on Shavuot? Or, in other words, do you have to eat meat on Shavuot? Okay, so that's the second question. The first question is, where does it come? The Ramah brings this minhag of eating cheese on Shavuot, and he says that it will cause us to have shtei lechem, 2 breads. How does that happen? On Shabbat, we have a lechem mishneh, we have two breads. On Yom Tov, at least, we're also noheg today, we are accustomed today to have 2 breads, but obviously not everyone had 2 breads on Yom Tov. So Shabbat, it comes from the man in the desert and other reasons, but Yom Tov probably less. Especially on the Yom Tov, people could go out and bring the money if it came down. So the Yom Tov, the having two loaves of bread and 2 challahs on Yom Tov isn't inherited connected to Yom Tov. One of the special sacrifices, korbanot, we had in the temple was korban shtei halechem, 2 breads. We are now counting Sfirat HaOmer, right? Counting Sfirat HaOmer starts from it's not really bread, but matzah. They brought the first or second day of Pesach, first Chol HaMoed of Pesach, yes, second day of Pesach. made out of barley, and it was one bread of matzah from barley. And we count slowly, and we get to Shavuot, and here we have two breads, which are chametz, from wheat. That's one of the special korbanot of Shavuot, is those two breads, two loaves of bread. So we want to have something that will remind us, or be a memory, for the two loaves of bread. Now, the problem is that many people have only one loaf of bread. On those days, and different than today, you eat the bread with everything. You don't like today, I think you have the challah, especially Ashkenazi, you have the cinnamon challah, if you're really American, right? And the cinnamon challah doesn't go so well with hummus, and not with matbucha. Ashkenazim don't have matbucha in any case, I think, right? So you eat the challah, you take the challah off the table, and then you bring the rice and chicken and whatever it is, right? In the past, they used to eat everything together with the bread, cheese with the bread, the meat with the bread, everything they used to eat together with the bread. If you want to eat cheese and meat in the same meal, first cheese and then meat, can you do it? Yes, you can do it. You have to wash your hands in between, eat something in between, but you can do it. If you have bread for the cheese, and not like today, we keep the bread clean, you cut it and put it on the side, the bread doesn't touch the cheese. In the past, can you have the same bread for the cheese and for the meat? No, you can't have the same bread. So if you have cheese and then meat, what do you have to do? I have two breads. Great, we achieved what we wanted, to have two breads on Shavuot. So one of the reasons that the Ramah brings for having cheese on Shavuot is because it will force you to have two loaves of bread. So today we make a big deal of the cheese and Gavnunim and the many, many reasons, but the Ramah says that's the reason. We have many reasons, but that's the reason the Ramah brings. So you can see from here, from the Ramah, you eat cheese in order to have two pieces of bread, two loaves of bread, but how do you get a second loaf of bread? From the meat. From the meat. Today, especially it's more common in Ashkenazi, you eat just only a dairy meal. You don't eat a fleishik meal, right? A meat meal. And the question is that appropriate? Shavuot is like a day of the wedding between us and Hashem. Everyone agrees, all of the Tanaim agree that on Shavuot we should also have time for ourselves, to joy for ourselves, to eat for ourselves. And Chazal say, Ein simcha ela bebasar v'yain. Happiness or joy is only with meat and wine. Okay, so what do we do? How people eat just milk? A story and then an answer. And then we have to conclude, I think. And then maybe about machlokot, if we have a moment. Two people once were arguing very seriously about meat on Shavuot, dairy on Shavuot, and they're getting to like Israelis, getting to a warm argument. They're arguing for all the hot. Okay, not just Israelis. There were people who were arguing for all the hot. Meat, dairy. Rav Mordechai Eliyahu happens to be there. And they ask him, what do you eat? What should we eat? What do you paskin? Eat meat or eat dairy? Now, he saw the people there, and he saw, I'm not sure I should paskin to them, because then in any case they'll be fighting. Tells them, I eat whatever my wife makes for me. Okay. So whatever my wife makes for me, I eat. Actually, I'm not sure what he did. We can ask his son what they had. But there's something there, what maybe I think we can learn from the answer is, the point of having meat is for being happy on Shavuot. I know it is for my family and many, many other families. They wait for the dairy meal sometimes all of the year. As kids, I remember many times we used to ask my mother to prepare dairy meals for Shabbat. We preferred dairy meal. So if I preferred to eat a dairy meal, and that gives me the joy of Shavuot, right? So I'll tell you, you know what? You think the joy is having dairy. I'm telling you, you are wrong. You really don't enjoy having dairy. You enjoy having meat. No, I enjoy having dairy. I wait for the blinches the whole year. That's the only time we have it. That's the only time we have, I'm not sure, each family, a special cheesecake. That's the only time we have it. And I want to have the cheesecake afterwards. I want to have coffee afterwards. I wait for the whole year. You'll tell me that I have to have meat. It's ruining my whole Shavuot. So therefore, people can have dairy. And also today, when we have dairy, usually our meals are much more rich than it used to be in the past. And you can have a dairy meal with fish, and you'll be so full after, say, I don't need the meat. That's really enough for me. Okay, we really, Baruch Hashem, we live in a generation where even with dairy, it can be more expensive and harder to make, and much more honor. It gives more honor to the Chag than meat. Okay, so that's for Shavuot, and you can eat dairy on Shavuot. But if you want to eat also meat, so have Sometimes we used to do one meal like that, one meal like that, each family, whatever the wife makes. And we just said that we will ask, how could it be that we got a Torah from Mount Sinai, and we have so many machlokot? We'll conclude with that. Can't we have just one opinion and that's it? And I think that's exactly the idea of Shavuot. If we got a Torah which doesn't relate to us as people, so you get the Torah, that's what you do. You have no say in it. You can't think about it. You have nothing about it. It's not yours. How do we see that the Torah belongs to us? I think like that. It belongs to the rabbis. Like we can learn. We can bring our own chidush in the Torah. We can bring our own opinion in the Torah. When Hashem gave Moshe Rabbeinu the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu said, "I think we need to add another day for the nation to be prepared." So if Hashem, you want to give the Torah, say on Friday, no, you can't give the Torah on Friday. Why? Because I decided, said Moshe Rabbeinu, that you postpone the Torah, give me the Torah, and we'll give it on Shabbat, on Shabbos. And Hashem, what did he do? He listened. How do you know he listened? He didn't come on Friday to give the Torah. Chazal said Moshe Rabbeinu, Hosif Yom Echad Midato. From his mind, he added one more day. That's the fact that the Torah belongs to us. That creates all the arguments because we are part of it. We learn Torah. We put ourselves in it. So when you see many arguments in learning Torah, so on one hand, we prefer that everyone will have one opinion and we need to have all the arguments. It will be simple. On the other hand, it shows us the Torah really belongs to us, and we belong to the Torah. That's why we have arguments. Hey, you have an argument with your wife. You don't have an argument with a Chinese person who you've never seen and you will never see. Okay? And that's the idea of Torah, and the Torah belongs to us. May we have a Chag Sameach.
Thank you very much.